I don't use gouache or watercolor too much, but I don't use gouache very much in general, but I have had a little bit of watercolor training. I personally use acrylics a lot more when it comes to traditional stuff. So I'll do like acrylic washes, which are a little more watercolor-esque. Not exactly the same because, it doesn't blend like watercolor does, but if I want something like that. But I personally like acrylics because for me, oils dry a little bit too slow. Um, and I like to use what is it, paints that have like thick texture and like brushwork. So I use a lot more acrylic. Oh, I use casein though. I can show you that really quickly before we jump in. Um, yeah, I really like these actually. They're a little bit, they're kind of similar to gouache. Like they'll dry and almost look like gouache when it dries. But what's nice about it is while they're wet, you can blend them like oils, and when they dry, you can't reactivate them with water again. So it's almost like acrylic, but the final look looks more like gouache. But yeah, there is so much to learn. I feel like in terms of getting better at art, uh, what is it? Like you don't need to learn like every medium. But it is recommended to learn a couple mediums so that you can A, make the artwork and then B, translate those mediums into like your other forms of art. So for example, like if you're doing digital, I feel like having doing pencil or charcoal, one form of ink, and then one form of paint is usually like a good foundation to kind of get started digitally drawing and painting. You know, but everything else that you learn that's extra, it can attribute to those skills as well, and it can improve other forms of art as you like work on different forms of art. Like a lot of my drawing skills go into my painting skills too, right? But what's also good to know is like you also don't need to learn like everything just because like you want to have like a diverse skill set that attributes and helps you improve like a couple ultimate skill sets. Um, Whereas like if you are learning like because I know a lot of artists who like try to learn like every single medium out there, and what ends up happening is they don't practice one medium enough to the point where they master it versus like they know a lot about like I guess like what I'm saying is like it's kind of like um would it say like a jack of all trades is like a master of none, something kind of like that, right? Of course, the jack of all trades can be very valuable depending on the situation. But I usually recommend it's a little better to like be a specialist in a couple things. And then once you master those things, then start adding more to your arsenal. But hopefully that kind of helps out. If you have more questions about like traditional paint, like feel free to let me know. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started, y'all. So it's good to see y'all here. Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful week. I'm having a pretty good week. I don't know why, but there's like something in my eye I can't get out. So I apologize if like if my right eye gets like a little red today, but it feels like there's like a hair stuck in there or something like that. Um, but anyways, just to kind of jump in. So project one resubmissions again are due with project two. If you got under a 70% for only project one, you could earn up to 20% back. If you got over 70%, you can resubmit for the full grade. You only get one resubmission, so make it count. Another thing I want to talk about really quickly is one of my friends, and actually technically my boss at Cal State Fullerton, is hosting an art show, and it's open for not just like students at Cal State Fullerton. It's actually open internationally, so students from like all over like the United States, in different schools. You don't even have to be at school. You could be like I'm gonna try to do the show too. Like it's open to faculty, anybody who's an artist. So it's just a general art show. But we are actually hosting it at Cal State Fullerton, and we are actually doing it in collaboration with the Society of Illustrators in LA. So it's actually like a pretty big honor and a big show. But for those of y'all who want to participate, Do y'all know like who Philip K. Dick is? He's a author. I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of his work before, but just not the name of the original writer. But Philip K. Dick was the he created something about androids. Yes. Yeah, so it's do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. That's one of his most famous books, and it's the story that actually inspired Blade Runner. So if it wasn't for him, Blade Runner wouldn't exist. Actually, his book is basically Blade Runner if you like read it, you know. But they do a Philip K. Dick International Festival, and this year we hosted it. So it'll be at Cal State Fullerton. We're doing it in collaboration with the Society of Illustrators. But if you are interested in applying for the show, it's the deadline for the assignment is Friday, July 31st. The work will be juried by like a group of people, including like people from the Society of Illustrators. And on August 3rd, they will let you know if you got into the show or not. If you did get into the show, they will require you to drop off your artwork. I'm trying to look at where to drop off the artwork. Well, it's somewhere on here. But in general, what is it? If you want to apply for the show, I do actually recommend everybody to try it out. I know it's like a pretty busy semester, but if you have like another, unfortunately for this class, it's kind of hard to do it. But if you have a different class that you're taking where like you can use this like theme in order to like create a specific project with, like I would highly recommend like try to like um, what is it? Trying to do that just so that you could get like a chance to be a part of the show. It's no guarantee that you get in if you like if you apply, but there is no entry fee, which is great. And in addition to that, like it's one of the few shows at school where like it's at a school, but it's not really a school show. It's like an international show just hosted at a school. And if you do get in, I would say it's one of the few resume lines for like art shows that I would keep in there. You know, usually the first things I take out are student art shows that have no jury. So if it's just like, hey, if you apply for it and you can get in, then that could go into your resume first. But if I get anything better, that's usually the first I take out, right? Otherwise, like student art shows that are juried are probably like the next thing. And then after that, it would be like local or like public like juried shows, right? Anything that's not juried usually is like what I'll take out first, by the ways, unless it's like some really, really, I don't know, like I mean, yeah, if anybody can get in, it's not really as impressive, just to be kind of blunt about it. But I would highly recommend to try this out, y'all, because they don't do this like all the time. But otherwise, if you are interested, feel free to let me know, and I can, and I can explain as I can, what is it, give as much information as possible. I did post the information in our announcements, so if you want to find it, just go to the current announcements for the week, and it should be over here. But any questions to the best of my ability that I can answer. Cool. Okay. So today we're going to work on Project 2 stuff again. So on Monday, excuse me, on Monday I showed you how to do color schemes, right? Today what I want to do is I'm going to do this color scheme here, by the ways. Today I'm going to grab one of these and I'm going to go ahead and just paste it on here. So that way, paste it on here. Let's go and move it all the way up. So we're going to use this color scheme and we're going to go ahead and redraw the Impala or the Impala Lion sort of like combo. But this time we're going to do the final rendering. So how would I tackle the final version of your assignment? So for your assignment, you do have to come up with a couple sketches, I think a couple poses, etc., right? But this is going to be for the final version, okay? Now, for your final rendering, the way that I usually try to think about it is you want to have one really, really nice fleshed out rendering, and you'll have a bunch of like poses and actions and just I mean with animals you don't really do expressions as much, I would say, because like I mean not that animals don't have expressions, but most of the time when unless like the animal is going to be like the main star of the show, right? And a main character, and we're following that character and we're seeing them act and react to things. It's usually not that necessary to draw expressions for your creatures. I would say when you're doing like poses and expressions for creatures, it's not really poses and expressions. It's more like poses and like actions that they would do in their habitat, right? Like how do they sleep? How do they hunt? Is there any sort of like if they are with the character, you can have them like work with you can have them like act with the character, right? But in this case, since we're doing something, you can kind of think about it this way: like you could draw animals as characters, or you can draw animals. I mean, there's still characters in your show and your environment, but you could draw them and just or and show them more scientifically, you know. And in this case, we want to do something a little more scientific because our animal here, it's not going to be an animal that follows the main character or follow. I mean, again, you can do expressions and poses for animals, but in this case, since we're trying to do something more on the sciencey side, I would maybe draw poses and expressions and actions that showcase how the animal lives, right? But for your final pose, usually I kind of recommend this. So let me go ahead and do a very quick thumbnail to kind of like show y'all. So if this is your sheet, right? I would recommend drawing your animal. So wherever it's going to be. So let's just say that this is our Impala or whatever, right? And then maybe on the side over here, you have different poses. You have like the pose where they're like, I don't know, like sleeping over here, right? Maybe you have like another pose over here that where they're like eating something, right? But but you kind of want to do something like this where you have like your final version over here, and then maybe you have like your poses and expressions, poses, actions, things like that on the side. So that way it becomes kind of like a concept art design sheet, right? Like if you look at like let's do a creature concept art sheet. Like if you look at it, you can kind of see it. It's something kind of like this, where like you have like your final version and you're showing like different parts of the creature, right? You can do that too, by the way. It's like if you wanted to like showcase how like some of the parts are engineered, like that's disgusting, but the mouth like has like little tentacles that like just come out of it, and you can kind of show like how the hand looks. You could do that too, but I would look at a couple of like creature design sheets and just be very mindful. Sometimes like what is it? Sometimes like you have like the final version and you have the sketches, right? Sometimes you have the final version and you have some like scientific illustrations about them. But I would look at a couple of creature design sheets to get some referencing on what to kind of draw for your sheet, or even just how to set it up, right? But this is a good one over here. But anyways, so when you're trying to create your sheet, that's kind of what I recommend is something kind of like this, right? So our final version in color. So I'm just gonna borrow the colors from this really quick. So like this would be in color, right? Like right here or whatever, right? And the rest of these over here would be kind of like black and white with like tone paper, with like maybe like basic values. But these should show scientific drawings of the animal. But again, like if it's supposed to be a more animated character that we follow around, like for example, like Flounder the fish, or like I don't know, Appa from what is it, Airbender, right? Those ones maybe we would still see a little bit of scientific stuff. It just kind of depends, but it just like you just have to kind of think about the context of like your story, right? And these like creatures and these like characters in relations to them. But anyways, so how do I decide on a final? Now, there are two ways you could do this, okay? If you drew your animal in a really good pose, then you could just grab that pose and get started. But for me, just to be kind of honest, my pose is really boring. Okay. It's just a pose of the animal standing up. It's you can have static poses or poses in action, but you want to make sure that your pose is so two things. Okay. One, usually for something kind of like this, I would recommend either drawing them in their natural habitat or reposing them so it feels a little bit more dynamic. But when you draw them in their natural habitat, just be very mindful because, like, for the final design, it has to be some sort of rendering where if you had to hand it off to someone else, it's really easy for them to understand what the animal looks like three-dimensionally, right? So, for example, okay, you want to be very careful of like for your final pose to do like a side view. Because so let's just say I do this animal in side view, right? If I do it in side view, I don't understand what the front view looks like, right? If I do it in the front view, so if this is the front view over here, right? And then this is like the legs over here, right? Then I don't understand what it looks like on the side. So the right thing to do is a three-quarter view, kind of like what we already have over here in that image. But this image is boring. So I need to redesign this pose so that it's still in a three-quarter view, but it feels more dynamic, right? So I found a couple references and it took me a while to find one I like, but I think I'm going to go with this one here. And I kind of like this one, even though it's static, it feels very valiant. I feel like it feels like very there's like an emotion when I kind of look at this that it's a very confident feeling when I look at this like animal. Another one I really like too was a running pose, but if I had to hand this off to somebody else to like reference, I would maybe use the running pose for one of my sketches instead and just use this one over here for my final. But otherwise, you want to try to avoid poses that skew the perspective too much. Like you can kind of see over here, it's kind of interesting because like you can have poses in action, kind of like this, but you don't want it to be a pose that distorts your image too much. Right? Like for example, if you drew like somebody like an animal and it's like super foreshortened, it might be a really cool drawing, but for concept art, you probably don't want to do that because imagine if you have to give that to a 3D modeler, they're not going to know like how to model the dimensions, right? You have to save those for either like a story-based illustration or like the posing part. But otherwise, I would recommend something that slightly shows the animal in its natural habitat while it also showing a lot of dimension. So here's another good one here too, where it looks like this like mammoth sort of thing is just walking, right? Even though it's like moving, it looks like it's moving, it looks like it's walking, but and it's not like too distorting to kind of look at, right? Another good one over here with this like sea turtle thing. So try not to make it too boring. Like if you are gonna have it stand up, give it like an expression, right? There are gonna be some drawings that you do that are just like kind of like this. And it's really for like modeling purposes. Like we just need to like I don't want to like distort any of the image so it becomes hard for me to understand. So, but in general, it's also nice just to push a little bit of storytelling in it to kind of show what the animal actually looks like or is actually going to act like when we see it, right? Anyways, so here's what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get started on the drawing. Looking back at it, I kind of wish I pushed more line features than this. So We'll try to make that adjustment in the final without straying away too much from it. Okay. So going to get started. So we're going to start off with the head, get the body in. I'm using the Jesse pencil brush. I want a little bit of like texture to this. I think it would look nice. Making the legs a little bulkier. There we go. Something kind of like this for the body structure. I really like the pencil brush that's in my tool set for sketching. It kind of gives you it kind of looks pencil-ish, I would say. Well, it does kind of look like yeah, it just kind of looks like a pencil. But I like that it gives like this like very textural feel and it can kind of make things feel a little bit more organic almost. Very, very cool. So kind of a rough sketch. You all see that, right? Now that I have this rough sketch, I can kind of just start building on top of it. I'm just gonna sketch on top of here first. I want to reference more of the lion for now. Let's lighten this up a little bit. Let's make a new layer. Something I kind of recommend playing around with a little bit more that I think could really, really make your artwork look very interesting is colored line work, y'all. Some of these parts looks like I have to use a little bit of color too. The main, like, I'm trying to like make it feel a little bit more gestural. I feel like when I was doing it previously, it looks fine, but it's kind of a little bit cartoony. Yeah, that feels a lot better for like the main. It feels a little bit more natural. Tone down the opacity a little bit more. Something I would kind of recommend y'all to do is um, I think a lot of students who tackle assignments kind of similar to this kind of start jumping into painting a little bit too fast. Try to start off just doing like a really good sketch. Also, by the way, you don't need to get rid of your lines for this assignment. You can keep your lines in there, but just make sure that you're using your line techniques like properly. Right? Like think about your line weight, think about your mark making skills. Like you could still make this look and feel like a dynamic drawing, but also something more conceptual at the same time. I kind of want to redo the horns. Start working on some of these parts too. I try to push some thicker lines in areas of shadow. So you can see where the thigh kind of connects with like the body. I use kind of a thicker line for that. You can also use it for like the stomach too, just to kind of imply that this area is like in shadow without us having to add a shadow right now. I gotta reference hooves actually. I can just draw them too, but I just want to be like 100% sure. Especially for me, like personally, I actually don't do that much creature design. So, if you don't know what it looks like, just look it up, y'all. I think like one really common like mistake a lot of like beginner designers make, is that um they tend to like draw what they think something looks like versus actually look it up. If you're pretty confident, that's a good thing, like you can just go at it, but at the same time, like it's always better just to be sure. Not saying that everyone's a beginner either, like in college we have a mix of like what is it, people at different levels, but in general, just these are just mistakes that I would just try to avoid. It looks good, but there's parts about it that I want to change still, just to make it feel a little more dynamic. Yeah, let's do that. Fix this part. I feel like this main should come down even more. Should cover more of this part over here. See if we can break it up a little bit better too. Oh yeah, it looks a lot better. Y'all can kind of see I'm using like a lot of like our dynamic drawing techniques in order to like just do the sketch. I'm probably going to keep my line work in here, by the way. If you want to take off your line work, that's totally fine with me, y'all. By the so if you're wondering, like, can you do that? That's fine. But I want to try to keep this sort of dynamic sketching look to it. I think it could be a really, really fun look. Pushing some darker lines where the fur is or where the mane is can be a good way to kind of distinguish because over here on the bottom left part, it's starting to become really hard to read. So what you can do to kind of fix that is if you push some more bold lines that overlap the mane, kind of like that, it starts to become a little bit more readable. So I try to use varying line weight to show people what I want to show people. The beauty of like using like hatches, like that's kind of what I'm doing a lot, is I'm just like hatching a lot, is it creates a lot of like texture. So it kind of gives the illusion of detail without you having to like draw in every single detail. You have some different ways the fur kind of connects with each other. want to clean this part up just a little bit. Nice. That's looking really good. Looks a lot better than the rough sketches, but that's kind of the whole point too, is like your rough sketches can be pretty rough. Of course, like some people like flush it out quite a lot, and that's fine. But as long as like your final version is what it needs to be, that's really like that it should be okay to like, have much more rough versions of it. But I try to keep it rough too so that I can work a little bit faster. I realize that couldn't have been an Impala because like it's in the snow. Again, like I'm doing like a savannah sort of thing. So I need to make sure that when I find the animal that I'm referencing, the body part matches to it. Because like I mean, it's supposed to be impala. You can mix like little bits of other animals into it too if you want, but that should be during the designing phase, not the finishing phase, right? But it's in the snow. Those feet were designed to be in the snow, like these ones here, even though they're similar, right? So I should find like an actual image of an impala's feet because their feet is going to be like designed for running in like this sort of environment. It's a little blurry, but I think we can make it work. That's looking pretty good. We're gonna take a really quick break. Anybody have any questions? Anybody confused? Awesome. But you can see like um when I'm doing this, I'm heavily trying to reference my original drawing, but I also very much heavily reference the pose, right? You don't need that many references in order to make like a really crazy pose or a really crazy animal. You know, most of the animal part should already be done at this stage right here, right? But when it comes to posing, I recommend just keep it simple. Um, Later on, if you understand animal anatomy very well, you can like make up some really like gnarly poses. But I think like the easiest thing to do is really just find like a good reference and then base it off of that pose really well. And then from there, like implement your design into that pose, right? But anyways, um, let's go ahead and take a break again and come back at like 3:40. But any quick questions? I mean, sorry, not 3:40. 9:40. Any quick questions before we go on break? Nice. Okay. So go ahead and take a break and then come back in like 10 minutes, y'all. Okay, it's 9:40, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue. I'm gonna grab this part here, just extend it out just a little more. There we go ahead and start working on the horns. The horns, I would maybe draw the wrapping around it first, just so we can kind of understand the perspective a little bit more. Ooh, that looks really good. Yeah, once the horn grooves were kind of like pushed in a little bit more, like a lot of the design just started falling together. I was like low key, like kind of avoiding the horns for a bit. Sometimes you got to do the annoying parts first, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, if it's not something that I feel like I need to plan out, I'll work on other stuff first. I'm gonna redesign the shape a little bit here. Okay, it looks a lot better. I made it a little wider, like over here. Does it kind of give it more of that diamond shape? It also makes the torso feel like it's being pushed out a little bit more. It looks great. Don't forget to tell yourselves that, y'all. You're doing a good job, or even if you aren't sure if you're doing a good job, tell yourself you're doing a good job. Have fun with it. I think that's the most important thing. Art is very like morale based, I feel like. I don't know if I talked about it with y'all before. Some of y'all might have I might have talked about it in like other classes before, but yeah, art is like very morale based, I feel like. So so a lot of times like when you are like making work, if you don't feel like it's looking good, then it's actually going to make you feel like that you don't want to continue it anymore. So you want to be attentive of your progress. Now, sometimes you have to be real with yourself too. Like it just doesn't look good. Right? But um I think like the important thing about art is not. Oh, I know this is like a class, and the whole point of class is to improve, but like artist to artist, like the most important thing is really to have fun and to just persevere through your piece. You know, when you make an art piece, you're basically forming a thought, right? And whatever you're forming in your head, that's what you're putting down on your paper, your canvas, whatever media that you're like throwing it on. But um, the important thing is to finish that thought. Art doesn't have to be perfect. I think like of course like there's standards and things like that, but from my experience, like if you enjoy making the work and you keep making the work and you're always trying to improve, eventually like you will find a job doing it. But for art, having fun comes first. Like it's one of those things where it's like I remember when I was in high school, like I was talking to one of my friends, and at the time, like I like really wanted a girlfriend, you know? And the advice that he told me was he feels like finding a partner is the reward for becoming better as a person, right? And that's some like really good advice that I really took to heart. Like, I mean, it's been like decades now since high school, but um, and now I'm getting married in a couple months, right? But I remember like the whole time, every single time I would jump back into the dating pool, I kind of just told myself like, if I just improve myself as a person, if I be kinder, if I what is it? Go and practice and have fun my art more, have fun, try to improve my career, try to improve my health, right? Eventually, like somebody will notice and maybe it's the same back at that person, right? And finally I might have a partner, right? It's the same with art. That's kind of what I feel like. It's like if you have fun with your artwork and you're trying to improve and you're just making more and more art, the job is a reward that comes with that, right? So I feel like if you're having trouble finding a job, of course, like I'll be honest, like economy just kind of sucks right now. Uh, but at the same time, like if you're not having fun doing this, this might not be the job for you too. Like art is a very passion-driven career. So when you are trying to find something, the best way to do it in this field is to just keep doing it. There's a lot of people who will find clients, and what ends up happening is or clients will find them from like just posts, Twitter. Oh, sorry, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X now, right? This is Twitter. Okay. Okay, I'm glad we're all in the same boat. I will never accept X. I'm just not used to calling it that. It, yeah, it doesn't even sound better. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like some like yeah, very like Twitter is Twitter feels very social, But okay, so yeah, Twitter, I don't Facebook not as much anymore, I would say. I feel like Facebook is I don't know about y'all, but something I noticed is Facebook pages used to be very popular when it comes to like marketing your work, but nobody really uses Facebook for like marketing as much anymore. I feel like for me, I just use it to keep in touch with people I haven't seen for a while. Like it's really just for Facebook Messenger, right? Or saying happy birthday to somebody. But other social media, people will find you, and a lot of times once they find you, they may keep have they may you may they may keep hitting you up as like a consistent client. Like I know a lot of people who one really popular one is as an illustrator, it's always good to have people in either the psychology or what is it? Or the writing field or English field, you know, because you do need it there. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's because they write a lot of books, you know, right? And because they write a lot of books, they're going to need a lot of art, right? And a lot of like English majors want to go into children's book or novels, things like that, right? So a lot of times they'll keep hitting up artists and illustrators, especially if you do a good job the first time, to continue working with them on their new pieces. So it's a very like synergy sort of thing. So I'm just gonna kind of clean up my lines a little bit now. This is looking really good though. Like I have my doubts too, y'all, like when I'm working on these things, like as like a teacher, I might have talked about it in like another class before for those of y'all who've been in my class. But um it doesn't look like it, but I do get nervous doing demos, you know? Like I don't know, like I the pressure of like, oh, I'm a teacher, so it has to look good is always like on my shoulders. But not every demo I do actually looks good. This one actually turned out okay. I might change my mind later. I might look at it again and be like, actually it's not as good. But like it turned out better than I expected, actually, at least for now, you know? And the thing is, like, I actually am having a lot of fun doing this. Like, compared to like other assignments, I'm always like painting environments. I'm always teaching people Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. I don't do characters and creatures as much. So I'm really kind of enjoying designing this and drawing this out. I kind of am just also enjoying doing line work. I don't really do line work that much for my person. Actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. It's like interesting. For digital, I prefer painting, but for everything else, I prefer sketching. Yeah, just keep going, y'all. I know it's tricky because like there's like deadlines and things like that, but like the trick is like try to get something finished, not perfect, right? Like you can have something that looks really nice, but if it's half finished, I can't really do anything with it. But if you have something that is finished, even if it's not perfect, I could still use it as like an art piece for whatever it needs to be used for. A drawing is a thought again. If I'm trying to combine an impala and a lion, me finishing the drawing is that completed thought, right? So I know it's like it could be kind of like scary because you're gonna jump in and work on these designs. And honestly, sometimes the designs are gonna suck, you know? But the important thing is to just keep on going, keep making the work. With every piece you finish, you're going to improve, right? Trying your best is important too. When I say finish, I don't mean like bullshit it and just like, like there's a difference between like bullshitting something and like finishing it versus actually finishing something, right? But but keep going. If it doesn't look good, it's important to fix it. But if you're running out of time, fix what you can and move forward. You can always resubmit it for a better grade as long as you get a 70% or higher, right? I think the line work is almost finished. You can almost jump into color, but I kind of want to just play with the line weight a little bit more on some parts. Well, it looks a lot better. Like adding that thick line separates it from the ear a lot more, and it gives it kind of that weight also. Oh, by the ways, I forgot to mention, I may have to end the class like 10 minutes early. I got to run to Cal State Fullerton and go do something. But also, in addition to that, as a quick reminder, this Saturday, for those of you who are interested, Um, at our coffee shop, I am going to be doing a talk with my fiance. Uh, this is the name of the coffee shop, Honolulu Crown Valley, and this is the address over here. Uh, for anybody who wants to take a photo or write it down, feel free to write it down. Um, I apologize. Like, unfortunately, like we can't give discounts at the moment, but if you come early and it's just you, I would just say that you're my guest. But we're gonna have a total of 15 to 20 people. Um, or that's the maximum we're allowed to have. And we'll be kind of talking about our art journey and stuff like that. I'll be really honest, it's gonna be a really quick presentation. And we don't really have a presentation room. So the way it works is I actually show you all a very quick sneak peek. I'm not done with it yet because I have to like do this with like my fiance. So we're actually going to work on it today, but we're going to talk about like the different stages of our career, like what to kind of think about a little bit on like our art journey. And this is actually some of like my undergrad work. So I used to be a 3D modeler, and this is just kind of the stuff I did. It's not very good models. Like they're very low poly models. And I mean, this was like back in like 2012 or something like that. But and a couple of like my pieces for my early like graduate like degree. But we'll talk about I just gotta be basically showing like my artwork, like my previous artwork and my current portfolio and just kind of talking about like our art journey. So if that's something you're interested in, like feel free to join us. Um I'll talk about my art journey a little bit, but also like different stages of what you should have finished or what you should be doing at that stage, and also just kind of how to sustain a future as an artist. Because like to be honest with y'all, like you can kind of see it here. I originally really wanted to be like a concept artist, but I got into teaching instead, so I'm in academia, right? But there are different paths to take. Like for my fiance, when she graduated, instead of going to grad school, she started her own business. She was actually previously an animator. She started off interning at Pixar, and then she started working on like music videos and stuff like that. But she transitioned into like running a business. And I think I talked about it a little bit on Monday, but we'll also kind of talk about a little bit like, um, as an artist, like if you're trying to survive in this world, what are some things to kind of think about? Like for her, like, luckily, like she and I are a team. That's something y'all can think about too, is um, if you are, what is it, trying to get married someday or have a partner, right? How can you work together as a team to sustain a life as both being artists? Like actually, it was funny. My teacher, he was talking about this like when I was a grad school student. He was like, if you're going to be dating another artist, you have to kind of be kind of careful, because like it's great because you can talk to your fellow partner about art things, but let's just say about like let's just talk about it like money wise, finance wise. We all know that art is a pretty hard job to hard like career to get a job in. We also know it's not stable too, right? But because I am teaching is a pretty stable job mostly. So I bring in consistent income, right? So we always have like income in terms of like if we were to live together and I had to pay rent, at least we could pay rent and eat, you know? But she is kind of like the chaos factor. Like she can make potentially like two or three times more than I can. But in this economy, like this past like week, like I think I told you already on Monday, this was like the lowest amount of sales we've made at this specific event. Usually we make like two to three times more, you know? But it's not just this event that I found out. A couple of my friends boothing at WonderCon also said that their sales were a lot lower this year. So with that in mind, like how do you sustain as an artist, right? Like because we're a couple and we have a consistent income and one that can make more or less, it kind of works out. But if you're still single, right, how do you like sustain that? Right? Like you're probably going to I would actually recommend like first and foremost, keep doing your work, you know, but let's just say you don't have an art job, like a corporate job or one that pays you like hourly or salary wise, right? Find another job that pays you something consistently and work on art stuff secondarily, so kind of like part-time this, part-time that, right? Or what you could also do, if you live with your parents, that actually makes things a lot better at the moment. I know a lot of people are like kind of like always very like subconscious, like, oh, I'm still living with my parents, and I'm like, I'm like 25 now or 30 or whatever. I'll be honest, if you live in California, that's normal. Okay, like that, like you should not be embarrassed of that because that's normal. I recommend people like find roommates, find like live with your parents, live with your siblings. Like if you're not making money at the moment, or even if you are making money and you're living with these people, that's your chance to save, right? Like, so don't be embarrassed about those kind of things. Like, they're totally. I live with like I'm literally moving back in with my mom in July, and I'm gonna be living with her until December. But before, like, I lived on my own at this apartment. I lived with my mom for 3 years, and before that, I lived on my own with my brother for like what is it, 2 or 3 years also, right? I've always had roommates up until these past 2 years, and then after this, I'm gonna have roommates again, right? So that's kind of the stuff we'll be talking about. Of course, y'all are always more than welcome to like ask me questions about that over here. But if you're interested in like joining us and grabbing a cup of coffee, y'all are more than welcome to. It'll be again at Kona Loa Crown Valley this Saturday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. But any questions, by the way? Awesome, awesome. I'll go ahead and like let me do this really quickly right now. I'm gonna go ahead and just like send a Canvas message to everybody, just so like y'all have the information too. That 3D stuff, like I don't think like any of my students have ever seen it. I actually have more stuff, but so I don't know if y'all had a DeviantArt account before, but yeah, me, I haven't used mine for like decades, and I just found out they wiped out all of our work. So yeah, that's where I uploaded all my stuff, and I don't have the original files anymore. So a lot of my really old paintings are just memories now. I know. Me too. Uh, Actually, I almost sent it to the wrong class. So I'm just sending the location and the time. So it's first come, first serve, limit 20 people max, 1 to 2:30 p.m. But I just sent an email for anybody who's interested in coming over. But it'll be this Saturday. It's a little far of a drive, so no pressure either, by the way. I'm probably not going to stay there that long after either. I have something I got to go do after the talk. But I'll be honest, I can't remember what it is right now. So that's what Google Calendar is for, right? That's my life nowadays, honestly. Like, I just don't know what I'm going to be doing next unless I like my Google Calendars is like, they'll just ping me like a notification. It's so bad. Sometimes I'll have like student appointments and then I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, shoot. I got to like, the worst is doctor's appointments. Like, I'm always late to my doctor's appointment. Hey, Sang, how you doing? Love you guys. How's your day going? Yeah.
Everything. I'm just chilling.
Oh,
Oh, okay, okay. These are some traditional pens.
yeah. What are y'all working on today?
Oh, they started these colorful houses,
Oh,
uh, and they have to utilize their understanding and knowledge in color theory. So they, the first time they're dealing with some environment, sky, some trees, the actual environment outside. Because they've been just applying these concepts in color theory
Mhm.
with with an object.
Mhm.
Now it's actual outdoor scene.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, but no one has any questions because it's like, okay, okay, you're getting better, and now you got to take care of this on your own. So now they're gonna start hating my
Oh, what?
class, me. That, I do that. I challenge.
Oh, well, I that sounds like fun to me as a student. I like a good challenge.
Yeah, that's because you're a true art lover.
Uh,
So how am I?
oh, we're doing good. Yeah, most of the half of the class is online and half are here today, but we're doing a creature design.
Oh,
So
was that just an animal but creature?
yeah, yeah.
Combination of
Mhm.
yeah, oh,
Yeah,
I
we were drawing a lot of oh, I think I showed you. We were drawing a lot of animals
yeah,
like
nice.
within the past couple
Yeah, yeah.
weeks. So now we're trying to take these skills and apply them and create our own like sort of creature. So
Oh,
they have a bunch of planets to
yeah,
choose from and
yeah,
different biomes.
yeah,
So they'll choose a planet,
yeah.
make a creature for that.
Right. Creativity.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Nice.
I usually paint a lot of environments too, so it's really fun for me to demo this because it's kind of refreshing.
Good, good, yeah. It's sometimes it's good to be kind of away from the usual task and
Mhm.
then creative, like project like this does that, like a special treat, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just routine. Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh, yeah.
It's like
Like animals, good, yeah, but what animals? And the what?
uh,
Well, those animals, there's gotta be more like that.
exactly. It's a little out of my comfort zone, but it's very refreshing
Yeah.
to it's a breath like breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, yeah. So I just started Kelsey. Questions after questions.
Oh,
So I had two questions, but Emily at the department office, she answered my because I couldn't make it yesterday.
oh,
My car trouble, and
oh.
I had nobody. I could contact Hunter, but it usually takes time to get a reply.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I just had to let the students know that whenever I can't make it to the class. Is that how it is? Because that's what Emily told me. You don't have to fill out any forms, unlike here.
Oh yeah.
Calisthenic forms. You don't have to fill
Yeah.
out any forms.
It's pretty simple. Yeah. You just email Emily and email the students and just let them know that you can't make it. And that way
Oh,
Emily will put a sign on your door.
oh, I see.
I don't know if you know this too, but you're allowed to teach 20% of your classes online too. So like sometimes if I can't make it, I'll tell the student you have to email the art department just let them know like, hey, I want to use an online week. So it's about 3 weeks, I think. So yeah, so you just let them know I'm gonna use one of my online weeks this week, and then like
Yeah.
they'll jump online.
Okay, there's a lot of information that I might have missed, or maybe they didn't cover for me. I'm still trying to find out these answers, but oh wow, that's really good to know.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
of course. I always save them for like if I can't make it or if like sometimes during like fall break I'm like out of state or
Right,
something like
right,
that.
right.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course.
When do you hear usually about the following semester?
That's so funny. Eric actually asked me that yesterday too. So I we found out that consistently last year in 2024, they sent it out at the end of April. So I think by the end of April we
I
should find out.
we're here at multiple places.
Yeah.
We need to get this hopefully at the same time, but end this within like 2, 3 weeks.
Mhm.
'Cause they're setting up schedule here,
Mhm.
and yeah, so
Yeah.
coordinate all this schedule.
It's stressful.
Yeah,
Like sometimes Cal State will change their schedule on me, and I got to change my schedule here.
Oh, I
But
see.
they've been pretty good about it. Like I told Frank that I teach at Cal State, so he's been very like good about keeping me in the
Nice,
same
nice,
places.
nice,
And
nice,
same with Hunter, he's like trying to keep me in the same
nice.
places too. But
Wow, that on actually.
yeah, yeah.
If I knew though, I could have just had that online class. Like
Mhm.
like a Zoom class, is that
Mhm.
how it works?
Yeah, you can do it Zoom or asynchronously.
Nice.
So like I rarely do it asynchronously, but one time I had to because I had like a wedding I had to go to on the same day. So I just told them like, hey, I made a bunch of like tutorials. It was easy because it's like a Photoshop Illustrator class. So I was like, there's a bunch of Photoshop tutorials I recorded. Just make sure to finish it by the next time we meet up in class. At once, but most of the time I just jump on Zoom and I just like beat online or something like that. Yeah, of course.
Sorry. I keep bugging you.
Please, no worries. It's good to see you.
It takes once it's a I mean they do reply, but they're busy people. Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Even with Hunter, when I text them, it takes them like a day or two to
yeah.
reply. So
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
yeah, it's good seeing you, Sang.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody.
You can bug us whenever you want.
See you.
Yeah, this is looking really good though, y'all. The more I look at it, the more I like it, which is great. You know, tell yourselves you're doing a great job because it's important, right? But also there's like at the same time you also don't want to be like delusional. You know, like you got like if you're serious about a specific goal, you have to like think about that standard, right? But in general, like have fun with your work though. Like regardless of if it looks good or not, like I think having fun is what improves people the most. Yeah. What'll be really cool too is once we get the colors in, because like we'll really start to see that uniqueness sort of pop out. I sent this drawing to my fiance over the break, and she was like, "It's like he's staring into my soul." And I was like, yeah, he sees everything. And she was like, yeah, he saw the stock market. Stocks have been pretty good the past like day or two though. Because they what is it? There's like a 2 week ceasefire from the war. So doesn't mean the war is over though. It's just temporary. Hopefully though, hopefully. I don't want people hurting each other. It's like a double whammy because it's one, it's like sad and violent and you know, very, very unnecessary. And then two, gas prices.
I saw a video about someone was talking about how their gas was expensive because it was $3.82. And I was like, I wish it was $3.82 here.
Oh man. Yeah, they don't even know, right? We're like paying like $6 in like OC, but like I mean LA people are paying like almost $8 to $10 right now. Last week my fiance and I were in LA and we were driving back down and I was running out of gas and she's like, do you want to refill? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to wait and see if it can last until the OC. And like when I got to the gas station in OC, like I literally had like 2 miles left. And she's just like, I don't know how you can do this because I'd be so scared. And I was just like, oh, it was almost out. Yeah, almost out. And then I was just like, you know what? Like sometimes you got to take a gamble, but low key, I probably should have refilled like $10 in LA. Oh man, geez. Yeah, it's not too hot right now for gas. Okay. I think the line work is basically finished for now. Um, so week 10, project 2, final render. So this is kind of what I have for my final line work. Next Monday,